Welcome everyone. My name's Aftab Hussain and I'm doing the presentation with my colleague Dean Bagley. Dean's our lead system developer at Bolton College, and we just want to talk to you about our story about our Ada, our chatbot, and how she's steadily evolving into a true campus digital assistant. We started our bot project back in December 16, and it went live on our student homepage in April 2017, and it's been answering day-to-day questions and inquiries about college services, the students' studies, and about various topics that we have around the campus as well. And we recently launched a staff-facing chatbot as well, and that's part of our demonstration. So today, it's basically about a summary about our chatbot, what kind of things it supports, how the chatbot is evolving into a digital assistant, and how, as a college, we're going to be using cognitive services or AI services in the near future. So, as always, with these services, with these presentations, we always want to start off with the demos first, because I could talk forever, and you guys are twiddling your fingers and saying, come on, show us it. So we always start off with the demos. And then after the demos, we let the demos speak for themselves. And then once that's done, we then go through our logic, our philosophy, and how we're using these services to support all our students and all our teachers and all our support teams around the campus. And that last bit is the most important bit. We're doing it to help them. We're not doing it to make teachers redundant. We're not doing it to save money. We're doing it primarily to make sure that our students have a better experience while they're at the college. So I'll hand over to Dean now, and he'll do a series of demos on the service. Sorry?
I have to exit the PowerPoint.
Okay.
Okay, good afternoon, and thank you all for coming. I'm Dean Bagley. I'm Systems Development Leader at Bolton College, and I've been responsible for the technical implementation of Ada. So it's my job today to take us through some demos. This is our learner, this is the staff home portal, and down at the bottom, on the right-hand side, you can see a dialog box. If we click on that, you get access to Ada. I'm just going to see if she'll speak. I don't know if I have sound. No, I don't have sound, so we'll do text, but there'll be sound later when we demo the Android app. So we'll start off from a learner perspective, and if I come along and I say hi, it says, hi there, Olivia. So this is my test learner. It knows who you are, so we can ask very specific questions from the student's perspective. What is my student ID number? What is my college email address? What's my timetable? I'm rushing through these because we've got quite a bit to cover. Timetable is a popular one. At the start of term. What quals do I have? What courses am I doing? Who are my teachers? What's my attendance like? So these are all kind of showcasing the underlying data that we have being presented by the chatbot. It's connected to disparate systems across college. So Tribal EBS and a number of other systems, and it pulls all that information together and makes it easy to access for the learner. How am I doing with my studies? Because we're not on campus, these progress bars don't show up, but usually those will be a reg rating of how the learner is doing. We can ask general inquiries as well. So when does the library close? When are the Easter holidays? I need a new bus pass. Can I apply for a bursary? I think it got that last answer wrong, actually. Yeah, so it can answer. We have 12,000 variations of questions and around 2,000 to 3,000 dialogues it will return, not counting all the data-based dialogues. We have curriculum-specific inquiries. So if I say, how do you do a fashion perm? Oops. So if I say, how do you do a fashion perm, it comes up with some multimedia, some Jisc-related multimedia on how to do a fashion perm. I need help with my CV. More multimedia and text-based responses. We've tied it into Wolfram Alpha, so it can answer questions that we haven't necessarily programmed it with. So if I ask it, how far is it from Bolton to Birmingham, it will go off and find that answer without necessarily having been pre-programmed to know the answer. Who is the President of France? Just as an example. So it supports general inquiries, student-specific inquiries which are data-related, curriculum questions with a limit to maths, hairdressing and...
English, maths, hairdressing, employability.
And employability. And third-party inquiries through looking up the answers on the web. So that's kind of a Q&A. I've thrown kind of a broad set of questions at it, but what we're trying to do is we're also trying to make it more proactive. So as well as just going to the bot and trying to get questions and answers out of it, we have what are called nudges. So this learner has 2 nudges, and if she clicks on them, you can see that she got a welcome back message after the half-term break and an attendance message saying that her attendance had slipped below 86% and some guidance to go with it. I think Aftab will speak more about nudges in a short while, just to contextualise them, because we're planning on doing a lot more than just giving notifications. So that's it from the learner perspective. From a staff perspective, I have another set of questions I can throw at it. Who is out on work placement this week? So it's brought up the learners who are going on work placement, where they're going, and the details of the placement. Which learners have passed their work placement? Which learners have below 85% attendance, so we can give it X figure. Which learners in business have poor attendance, so we can specify a curriculum area. And what I'm hoping this demonstrates is that there's a rich set of data beneath the chatbot that we can query using natural language. And what that allows you to do is save an immense amount of time for staff and make information more readily available, but also more data rich. Show me learners at risk. What are my course codes? And then we have general questions. How do you create a new Moodle course? How do I get a new staff ID card? Okay, so we've we started out with the learner perspective first because that's where we started on our journey. We were trying to produce something useful for the learners. The staff is a more recent development that we started in January. So there's a more limited amount of enquiries that staff can make at this point compared to the learner site, but it continues to grow. So we have 3 modalities. So I've been asking questions through the web, which is a useful interface for when students are at college. But because of the way that we've structured our development, we've been able to provide questions and answers on Alexa, iOS, Android, and the web. So I'm just going to show you an Alexa demo. We didn't bring an Alexa with us, but I believe we've got a video.
Yeah, that's one, Dean.
It's the what one? Sorry.
Yeah.
That one?
No, the black screen. Yeah.
The black screen.
So just play that slide.
Yeah.
Shall I get it done for you?
Yeah. I can help develop a chatbot in education, but I can't use PowerPoint.
Yeah. Do we have sound on this? We're struggling for a bit of sound.
You're in the right port.
Yeah. Can we get some help from the audio team upstairs? Okay, thank you. Bear with us, guys, yeah? It's on there, isn't it? They're all on one.
Set the output to headphones.
Okay, thank you.
Alexa, ask Bolton College what lessons do I have on today?
Tuesday, Art and Design Level 2 with Nicola Carwell, 11:15 a.m. in Room A159. Please contact your LDM or subject teachers if you have any questions about your timetable.
Alexa, ask Bolton College what is my attendance like?
Your attendance score for the last 10 days is 64%. Please talk to your LDM or course tutor if you have a question about your overall attendance figure.
Tell Bolton College I am being bullied.
Bolton College takes the safety and well-being of its learners, staff and visitors very seriously and has a dedicated team of people whose job it is to...
Ask Bolton College what is the telephone number for student services?
The telephone number for student services is 01204 482 182.
Alexa, tell Bolton College I need help with my finances.
If you are struggling with your course due to financial difficulties, you may be able to get help with some of the essentials for your course, such as childcare, equipment and travel.
Yeah, so you can see even with my droll Boltonian accent, it's still quite accurate. So the next part of the demo is the Android app, which we've recently released to the Play Store. We haven't yet released the iOS app. That's going to be released by the end of the month. Advisor.
Yeah. close PowerPoint first.
Just grab that.
And just click through that. Okay, cool.
Okay, so we have our Android app, and I'm going to run through a similar series of questions that I ran through before. So, what is my college email address? Just try again. I don't know if I'm having connectivity issues. 1 second. What is my college email address?
This always happens when we do a live demo. Usually connectivity around wireless or 3G in this room. But we've been doing about half a dozen demos all morning.
Yeah, it's
And it's typical, isn't it? It falls apart when we do it here.
I'm going to swap phones. I've got
Okay.
a backup plan. This is my personal phone, so I'm hoping my mum doesn't text me. So what do I want? Visor again. Sorry about this, 1 second.
The idea with these services is that we have access to these services across all our platforms. So staff and students have access to the typical staff homepage, student homepage. We've got access on smart speakers like the Alexa devices, and also as well with the smartphone as soon as we can actually demo it. But the idea is that you're always connected to college services. So you could be at the college, at home, out and about, and have access to all your information to support your studies or your work. Dean, you ready yet?
Yeah, I'm going to try again, but this time on 4G. I don't know if I had a Wi-Fi issue.
Okay.
What is my college email address?
Hi Olivia, your college offers 365 email address is 172034 at Bolton College 365.app.
When does the library close?
The two libraries in the main building close at 7:30 p.m. between Monday and Thursday. The library in the construction and arts building closes at 4:30 p.m. between Monday and Thursday.
Can I apply for a bursary?
Bursaries are available for some 16 to 18-year-old students taking EFA-funded courses. There are two types of bursary. 1. The guaranteed bursary.
You don't want to hear all that. So anything that you can ask through the web, you can also ask through the mobile phone client and the Alexa. And the way we've programmed it means that we only have to train it once to support all three services.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, okay. Don't want that one again. Okay. So we've had the the student-facing chatbot running since April 17. So far, it's responded to about 80,000 questions in total. That seems quite small, but we are a small campus, just north of Manchester. But we have peaks and troughs in the year. So in September, it's been running now for 2 Septembers, in September 17, September 18. And we typically get about 900 plus questions a day from our students just asking about timetables. So in September, there's a peak, there's a bit of a trough, first assignment, holidays, work experience, exams. So you get all the questions coming towards ADA at certain points in the student life cycle. That's only to be expected. And we get our biggest peak during induction. The impact of the service has been quite overwhelming during the induction period and during the first 4 weeks of term, because we've actually seen an increase in student retention for the first half term in September and October. So that's been quite stark, of about 3 or 4% year on year over the last 2 years. Now, we've got wonderful staff, we've got wonderful learning development mentors and tutors and support teams, but we think there's a lot portion of that's probably attributed to ADA, the chatbot, because we've had students at 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning asking ADA about their timetables. So you can imagine a nervous student who's come from school, about to start life at a large college, and they have no idea where to go on a Monday morning to the first class of the new term. So, but because ADA's there for them, they can make a call to ADA on the weekend or in the middle of the night or whatever and just say, where do I need to be? And hopefully ADA plays that a little bit in encouraging that student to get to that class the next day, especially if they're nervous and a bit fragile as learners. And I think that's crucial, because you're at home and typically you're not connected to college services, especially you have no one to ring. So ADA is representative of a new breed of services that can provide timely, on-demand information, advice and guidance to all our students. And that's the interesting bit about this particular service. What's quite interesting is that ADA speaks on behalf of all our student and support teams. When ADA gets a question from a student on the home page or through Alexa or through the mobile phone, the student isn't just speaking to a remote digital assistant. The student is actually having dialogue with every member of staff at the college. So we've got 600 plus members of staff, and when a student says, I need help with my bursary, the finance team through ADA is speaking to that student. When a student saying, I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling down, the mental health team or the counselling team is speaking on behalf of the college through ADA. So imagine you going into a campus, into the college front door, and you go to the reception desk or to the desk in student services, and you pose a question about the college. Now, and there's typically one person behind the desk. Now imagine there's 600 people sat behind the desk, all waiting to take your question and respond instantaneously to your query. So when we do these services, ADA has been designed to respond to the team's response to a student's question, and that's quite powerful. And so we've got support teams saying, what can ADA do for me? What she learnt recently? Can I ask her to do this? And it helps us in calling ADA and giving her a gender as well as a she, because it gives some affinity and some empathy towards the service. And we feel that ADA is a virtual member of campus life, and certainly a virtual member for every team across the college. And if the service is designed well, ADA speaks on behalf of all the team, and she speaks with the morals, the ethics, and the principles that stand behind each of our services. Voice-first services are also being developing through the Amazon Alexa phone. We've got the the IBM Watson service sitting behind the Android phone and an iOS phone that's coming up shortly. But this idea of talking to computers isn't a new one. IBM Shoebox back in 61 or 62 was one of the first voice-enabled services to be released, and it did basic mathematical calculations for accountants. And we had people like Joseph Licklider and Douglas Engelbart in the 60s remarking on the fact that in the future we'll be having conversations with our computers to do things. So rather than having to type in things on a screen, on a keyboard, rather than having to use a script or what have you, and complicated language to speak to our computers, we'll just talk naturally using natural language to converse and get them to do all the things that we want to do. So it's quite interesting right now in 2019 where we've got different platform providers like IBM, like Microsoft, like Google, like Amazon, where colleges and schools and universities can use to develop their own chatbot services. In our case, we've utilised the IBM Watson Assistant platform to rest our ADA service on. And as you can see on the mobile phone, it literally takes a second or two to elicit a response from the service. It looks easy, it looks fluid, it looks so easy to use, but it's friction-free. But behind it, there's a series of technical hurdles that we've had to go through to establish these services to the student. But we do all the hard work, but to the student, yeah, I use a voice assistant to get all the answers presented to me whenever I need it. And that's what's so neat about it. We couldn't have done this 10 years ago because the platforms and the solutions weren't present. But now in 2019, I think any school, college or uni, regardless of size, has got the platforms out there to actually establish a chatbot or a digital assistant for their students and their teachers. This is probably the most important slide of the day, really, because it deals with context. And for me, context is key, because without context, ADA and the other chatbots in other institutions can't respond personally to you. So when you say hi and it says hi after back to you, it knows who you are. But as soon as it knows your name, it can respond to everything about you. So as a student, you can say, what's my grades? Where's my next assignment due in? When's my work placement? Have I got enough UCAS points to get to uni? It does all of that, it has all that information, and it can respond contextually to you. Now, the power of context is crucial. For instance, one of the examples I like giving is that a student inquires about a forthcoming assignment, and Ada says, next Friday at 5 o'clock. Ada knows that you've got an assignment due at 5, but she also advises you that you need to get a certain grade on your next assignment, because she knows you're currently performing below par, or she understands that you need to get a particular grade in order to maintain and increase your grade average to get to uni. So with that context, Ada becomes suddenly very powerful. Can you imagine a busy teacher going from one class to another? They get stopped between that journey to one class to another by a student and says, miss what assignment, what grade do I need to get on my assignment? And that teacher innocently and mistakenly says, oh, just get a pass, and then whizzes off to the next class. Teacher didn't mean any ill harm. Teacher thought she was doing right, but inadvertently gave the wrong piece of advice to that student. Whereas Ada never forgets, is always switched on and has access to the entire data set on your campus. And so Ada can give you accurate and timely contextualised information back to you. That's when these services move away from just being a simple bot, a chatbot, answering Q&A questions, where she actually starts becoming a true assistant, and she's able to respond to you as an assistant to support different elements of the student life cycle. So context is key if you're developing your own chatbot projects. Now, how does it do that? I'm just going to hand back to Dean now, and this slide will just demonstrate how all the different pieces of the jigsaw allow us to present contextualised services to that student or the teacher. It's okay.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but this is the solution that we came up with. So for any developers in the room, we have a centralised API which routes information from the three clients, the web, the Alexa and the mobile phone app. The API routes the information to IBM Watson and to our local campus dataset, and as a last resort to Wolfram Alpha, where we get some third-party information from. So, for example, if a student on the mobile phone asks, can I have a pointer? I don't think so. If a student on a mobile phone asks, what is my timetable? That gets routed through our custom API to IBM Watson. IBM Watson recognizes the natural language understanding and returns a placeholder to our API. That placeholder then gets replaced with the timetable data from the campus data set sent back to the client within a matter of seconds. So really, key to this structure is having, to be able to do it the way that we've done it, is having this central API. But it kind of evolved naturally. We originally started out with just a web desktop and IBM Watson, and we could answer general inquiries. And then over time, as we've had more and more requirements, it's evolved into this structure. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great. So I just want to explore on the next two slides how campus services are changing through conversational services. So we're going to start talking to our network devices. Our service is going to start to nudge and message you, and they're going to even start to make phone calls as well for you. They'll start to answer your phone calls for you, and they'll start to phone or message the students on your behalf. And ultimately, we'll spend less time on our legacy systems. So it seems rather, sounds like sci-fi at the moment, but a computer will answer a telephone call from, say, mum and dad, saying, oh, my daughter's ill, my son's ill, they can't make it into class today. And the computer will take that phone call and capture the student's name, their ID number, the class, the date, the time, why they're off ill, and then put that absence note into a teacher's register saying they're absent and why. Now, you could easily say that you're away that day, there was an assignment due in, and send a message to that student to say, when you're feeling better, hand in that assignment. So it seems a bit bizarre and a bit fanciful, but a computer will pick up a phone call from mum and dad and answer it on behalf of the teacher and the support teams. Similarly, if you've got destination surveys and you're trying to figure out where your students have got to after graduation, rather than having teams of people, support teams, making those phone calls or text messaging, why can't the computer just do a phone call to the students or message that student and capture that data on behalf of the institution? So that this is where these services are actually going and evolving. So it sounds fanciful, but they're not. The technology exists for this to actually happen. And these conversational services that use natural language, that use cognitive services platform like IBM Watson, enable all these things to happen. There's other cognitive services that we're also developing as well. So I'll just take you through those one by one. We've got adaptive learning and assessment. So on a learning management system like Moodle at our college, we've got the data set on each of the students. And based on that data set, we can actually give personalised and contextualised teaching, learning and assessment materials to the students. So if you've got a tutorial across everyone across the campus on, say, health and safety, the health and safety tutorial could adapt to people doing construction or motor vehicle or hairdressing or computing and give you contextualised teaching and learning materials accordingly. Conversational tutorials, you'll start to talk to your online tutorials, you'll start talking to videos, you'll be conversing with them, you'll talk back, and it'll capture everything that you've said. And it'll mark you, yes, correct, move on to the next bit or not. So gone are the days of closed multiple choice questions and yes and no answers, questions on online tutorials. You can now pose open-ended questions The students can just type in their answer in free form. The computer will understand what's been said, understand it, classify it, and give you feedback and sign it off. We're also doing automatic marking. One of our projects this year is, can we automate the marking of work placement evaluations at Bolton College? So we've got roughly just under 2,000 students that do work placement evaluations. And one of the things that we're saying is that can we automate the grading and the feedback on that piece of work, and can a machine do it? So when a student writes a block of text on the screen, commenting on the work placement, what they've learned, what they enjoyed, what they got out of it, and everything else like that, the computer will read it, understand it, classify it, give feedback, and sign off that student on behalf of all the career coaches. We're doing automatic student report cards in the near future. So one of the things I'm asking Dean and the team to do, I do this all the time, by the way. I said, can we automate 4,500 reports every day and do it that in 3 seconds? So those reports will say, Emily, you're doing really great on your studies. Don't forget you've got an assignment date coming in. You're performing, you need to get this grade in order to get to uni place. By the way, there's a university event happening on Thursday afternoon. Do you want to attend? So it'll give that kind of advice and guidance to the student. Nudges we've talked about. Nudges are more than just notifications. Notifications have been around for a decade or more. So typically notification will say, you got this event happening at such and such a time. This happened, and well done, or what have you. But with nudges, you can start to deploy contextualized services. So you can say, oh, by the way, I noticed that you haven't handed in your assignment. You've been absent for a while. Do you need to see your tutor? And you're both free at 2 o'clock on a Thursday. Shall I arrange that for you? So you can do some quite clever services as a result of these nudges. One of the things that we're aiming for is, with appropriate nudges, can we improve the overall performance of the students on the course? So if I give you timely advice and guidance, will AIDA, in partnership with the teachers and the support teams, can they raise the average grade profile for students on the course? So for instance, a nudge could say, well done on your last assignment. How about going for this grade next? Oh, by the way, if you've got this grade, all of a sudden you've got an opportunity to apply for the next course or for university or what have you. So if we can do that in an appropriate way, hopefully the average grade profile will increase. We'll start recommending courses to students. We'll say, right, you're a level 2 business student. Have you ever thought of doing this course at level 3? Have you thought about doing this, that, and that based on what your history at the college is? And also, intelligent process automation. We're using a lot of process automation right now based on logic. But what we're hoping to do is that AIDA and the digital assistant at large will improve on certain workflows. So, for instance, if it recommends certain courses to the students and the students don't apply, then it changes the behaviour to appropriately recommend other courses to those students. Or if it starts to nudge students on grades and what to aspire to, if it does that wrong, it can change its behaviour accordingly. This slide talks about the evolution of the campus chatbot and the digital assistant at large. Stage 1 is basically a chatbot, and it responds, and it's connected to all the data sets, and the chatbot responds contextually to your inquiries. So it knows who you are, and it can give you all the pieces of information to support you as a student or a teacher. Stage 2 is really when it starts to support you with day-to-day inquiries, but it also starts to, how can I say, start to support you with day-to-day activities and workflows. So it'll answer your phone calls, it'll make phone calls, it'll do your marking for you, it'll give you feedback, it'll book appointments for you, and so on. And then the third one is it uses intelligent process automation, and it uses machine learning to improve its ability to do things. So if it's marking work on work placements, evaluations, over a period of time, as the training data grows, it'll improve its performance in marking and grading that student work. So that's when it'll have a little bit of autonomy on the campus as it gets better and better at supporting everyone around the college. But all of this is in the realms of the possible. It's not impossible to do. Now, one of the goals that I always have is, can we give every child, every student up and down the country their own digital assistant? And if we can, what does that mean for education services? So if a 3-year-old goes into preschool and they had a digital assistant, what does that mean for that child's life at that school and for the teachers and support teams around that child? And as a pupil moves on to primary school, secondary school, into college, what would education look like if those children who progress on to school all had access to their own digital assistant? And if all the teachers and all the support teams and mums and dads at home had access to a digital assistant to support the youngsters as they went through their education, it'll look very, very different from it is right now, because all the legacy systems could be radically changed, and the way we use these platforms could radically change as well. And hopefully teachers and students and support teams will make wiser decisions, better decisions, and hopefully they'll progress better with their studies. And I just want to take you to a video that we've got. Jisc kindly did this on our behalf a few weeks ago. So if I just close down.
Tuesday, Maths GCSE Gateway 2 with Gil Ellis.
Ada, it's like an actual person.
Hang on. I've lost it.
GCSE Gateway 2 with Gil Ellis.
Ada, it's like an actual person. It's an AI system that allows you to get information to do with yourself. It allows you to access your timetable, ask questions, see when you've got lessons, who you've got them with.
In a perfect world, each member of my team would have someone clerical working for them. Ada is that person, times 22.
Originally we set out Ada to be a standalone chatbot that would help students with day-to-day inquiries, but she's now seen as very much as a virtual member of the team. Ada acts on behalf of all the staff at the college. When the student's making a call to Ada, a student isn't just making a call to a remote digital assistant. She's actually calling upon all the knowledge and the expertise of every member of the college staff.
Ada's made a huge impact on my life. It's making my life around college a lot easier, because if I'm not sure on something and I can't get access to a teacher, I can fire a question at Ada and she'll come back with the relevant answers.
The staff are adopting Ada with relish. We're going to be freeing staff time up to spend more time focusing on the learner's individual needs rather than the administrative burden.
You can imagine if every student in the country had access to their own digital assistant. You can imagine how that would actually change and impact and improve education. So that video was done recently by Jisc, and it just gives you an overview of where we're going. Bill Webster, who's our principal at the college, is a firm believer in chatbots and digital assistants. Originally, it was a bit resistant to the whole idea. It's saying after the team are completely off their heads, they're saying it's going to be able to do this, that, and that. But over a period of time, we've always realised our goals and aspirations, and hopefully we'll carry on doing that over the next few years.